At the edge of a quiet forest in the Indonesian archipelago, long before the modern world took shape, a widow named Mbok Sarni lived alone. She spent her days tending a modest garden, wishing for nothing more than a child to break the overwhelming silence of her small gubuk. Her routine was interrupted when she encountered Buto, a towering, green-skinned giant known to villagers. Instead of attacking, the giant offered a miraculous solution to her loneliness: a magical cucumber seed. This timeline illustrates the rigid terms of the giant's contract. If planted, the seed would yield a daughter, but the gift came with a strict expiration date. At the exact moment the child turned 17, she must be surrendered. Driven by a desperate need for companionship, Mbok Sarni agreed. 17 years felt like a lifetime away, long enough that the giant's hunger seemed like a problem for another world, far removed from the child she could hold today. She planted the seed. It rapidly matured into a massive, golden cucumber. When Mbok Sarni carefully sliced it open, she found a healthy baby girl inside. She named her Timun Mas. As this timeline fills from 0 to 16, the illusion of a distant future collapses. Timun Mas grew into a brilliant young woman, but every passing year pulled them closer to the giant's contract. By her 16th birthday, the reality of the situation set in. Mbok Sarni looked at her daughter and realized that the very wish that brought her joy had also invited a monster to her door. With exactly 1 year left, Mbok Sarni broke down and confessed the truth of the bargain. Instead of panicking, Timun Mas immediately began looking for a way to break the contract and protect her mother. They traveled up a steep mountain to consult a local hermit. They needed a way to survive a force that could easily crush them. The old hermit listened to their story and agreed to help, but he gave Timun Mas a strict instruction before handing over any tools. He told her she had to keep moving forward, no matter how terrifying the situation became. This diagram breaks down the inventory the hermit provided. He handed Timun Mas 4 small pouches. The first contained cucumber seeds, linked to vines and food. The second held needles, tied to wood and sharp terrain. The third contained salt, acting as a water barrier. The final pouch held terasi, a pungent shrimp paste, linked to earth and deep mud. These items were designed to change the world around the giant. The hermit's gift shifted the battleground itself, turning everyday materials into barriers that would force Buto to fight the terrain instead of Timun Mas. The 17th birthday arrived. Right on schedule, Buto stepped out of the tree line. His heavy footsteps shook the gubuk, as he demanded the payment Mbok Sarni had promised. This spatial map tracks Timun Mas's escape room. To protect her mother, she stepped out of the gubuk, caught the giant's attention, and instantly sprinted into the dense forest, drawing the threat away from the village. As the giant closed in, she deployed the first pouch. She threw the seeds behind her. Immediately, a massive field of ripe cucumbers sprouted. The map shows the giant halting completely. His hunger overrode his focus, and he stopped to devour the entire crop. But the food energized him. He resumed the chase with terrifying speed. When he nearly caught her again, she threw the second pouch. The tiny needles erupted from the soil as a dense, razor-sharp bamboo forest, tearing at his bare feet and forcing him to navigate the pain. Still, he pushed through the bamboo. Exhausted but refusing to stop, Timun Mas threw the handful of salt. Looking at the map, we see a massive ocean instantly form between them. The giant was forced to swim the massive expanse, draining the last reserves of his physical stamina. He dragged himself out of the water, soaking wet and furious. With her energy almost gone, Timun Mas deployed the final pouch. She threw the terasi. The solid ground beneath the giant immediately dissolved into a boiling, thick mud swamp. One by one, the giant's strengths were turned into his undoing. His hunger, his stride, his stamina, and finally his massive weight all became burdens that dragged him down until the forest finally went silent. Gasping for air, Timun Mas watched as the giant sank. Unable to pursue her any further, she turned and walked safely back to her mother, who was waiting at the gubuk. The debt was canceled. Years passed. Timun Mas grew into a wise young woman, teaching children how to plant crops and care for the land. One afternoon, A young child asked how she managed to outrun the monster without feeling fear. She told the child her heart hammered against her ribs and her legs felt like water. To her, bravery meant that even when her body wanted to collapse in terror, her mind chose to take the next step. Miles away, stuck entirely alone in the mud, Buto Ijo was left to reflect on his own greed. The very strength used to intimidate others ultimately became the weight trapping him in the earth. You will face challenges that make your heart race, but like Timun Mas, you have your own way of navigating the path ahead, as long as you choose to keep moving. So rest your mind. You are safe, you are protected, and you are ready for whatever tomorrow brings. Have a good night and sleep well.